There are moments in life that feel random, like you just stumbled upon something without meaning. But deep down, you already know that's not true. This message didn't just appear in your life by accident. It found you. Out of millions of voices, distractions, and noise, something inside you paused and listened. That pause, that's where destiny begins to speak. You might have been scrolling mindlessly, tired from your day, or maybe even feeling lost. But somehow this message stopped you. That's not coincidence, that's alignment. When your soul is ready, it starts recognizing what your mind can't yet explain. And today, your soul is listening carefully. Think about your journey. The struggles, the confusion, the moments where you felt abandoned or misunderstood. What if none of it was meaningless? What if every step was quietly guiding you to this exact moment, where you finally begin to understand who you truly are? God doesn't always shout. Sometimes he whispers, and those whispers reach you when the world goes silent inside your heart. That silence you've been feeling lately, it wasn't emptiness, it was preparation. If this message resonates even slightly, take a second and like this video, not for me, but as a sign that you're open to receiving what's meant for you. And tell me in the comments, what brought you here today? Being chosen doesn't always feel like a blessing at first. In fact, it often feels like isolation, like you don't quite belong anywhere, like you see things differently, feel things deeper, and carry something you can't explain. That's not weakness, that's awareness. From a young age, you may have felt different. Maybe people misunderstood you. Maybe you struggled to fit into spaces that others seemed comfortable in. But what if that discomfort wasn't rejection but redirection? Chosen ones are rarely given easy paths. Why? Because strength isn't built in comfort. It's forged in confusion, in heartbreak, in moments where you had to stand alone and still keep going. Those weren't punishments, they were preparations. God doesn't choose people who are already strong. He chooses those willing to become strong. And every challenge you've faced has been shaping something inside you that you're only now beginning to recognize. Let's be honest, some of what you went through hurt deeply. Not surface-level pain, but the kind that changes you. The kind that keeps you awake at night, questioning everything. You asked, "Why me?" more times than you can count. But here's what most people never realize. Pain is often the language of transformation. The moments that nearly broke you were also the moments that rebuilt you into someone stronger, wiser, and more aware. Think about it, would you be the same person today without those struggles? Would you have the same depth, the same understanding, the same resilience? Probably not. Pain carved out space inside you, space for growth, purpose, and clarity. Even the betrayals, the disappointments, the silent battles, you survived all of it. That's not normal strength. That's divine endurance, and it didn't come from nowhere. There's a shift happening inside you. You may not fully understand it yet, but you can feel it. Things that once mattered don't feel the same anymore. Conversations feel shallow. Environments feel draining. You're craving something deeper, something real. That's not confusion, that's awakening. You're starting to see beyond illusions. You're recognizing patterns in people, in life, in yourself. And while that awareness can feel lonely at times, it's actually a sign that you're leveling up spiritually and mentally. Awakening isn't always peaceful. It can feel like everything is falling apart. But in reality, everything is being rearranged. What no longer aligns with your purpose is slowly being removed from your life. Have you noticed this shift in yourself? Comment, "I feel the change." And if you're ready to fully embrace this journey, make sure you've subscribed to Mirror of the Soul. This is where your transformation gets clearer. Sometimes things don't work out not because you failed, but because you were being redirected. That opportunity you lost, that relationship that ended, that door that closed, it wasn't the end. It was protection. We often confuse rejection with failure. But what if rejection is actually divine guidance? What if God saw something you couldn't see and removed it before it could harm you? Looking back, there are probably moments you're grateful didn't work out. At the time, it hurt. But now you see, it would have taken you further away from your purpose. Trust the redirection, even when it doesn't make sense, even when it hurts, because what's meant for you won't require you to lose yourself to keep it. There were moments when everything went quiet, no clear direction, no obvious signs, just silence. And in that silence, your mind may have started to doubt, did I lose my way? But what if that silence wasn't abandonment, it was alignment? Growth doesn't always happen in loud, dramatic breakthroughs. Sometimes it happens in stillness, where you're being reshaped internally. God often removes distractions so you can finally hear what truly matters. And yes, it can feel uncomfortable, even lonely. That quiet phase you went through, it wasn't empty. It was full of unseen work. Your patience was being tested, your faith was being strengthened, and your identity was being rebuilt from the inside out. Think of a seed buried in the ground. From the outside, it looks like nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, everything is changing. That's exactly what was happening within you. One of the hardest truths to accept is this: not everyone will understand your journey, and that's okay. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were meant to be aligned with the right ones. You may have tried to explain yourself, to make others see your perspective, to prove your intentions. But the more you tried, the more misunderstood you felt. That wasn't your failure. That was a sign you were outgrowing certain spaces. People can only meet you at the level of their own awareness. And when you start evolving, not everyone will evolve with you. Some will question you. Some will doubt you. Some may even walk away. But here's the truth. Those who are meant for your path will recognize your energy without explanation. You won't have to shrink yourself or over-explain your worth. Lately, have you noticed how people react differently to you? Some are drawn to you instantly. Others seem uncomfortable around you for no clear reason. That's not random, that's energy. When you start growing, your presence changes. You carry yourself differently. You think differently. And even if you don't say a word, people can feel that shift. Some will be inspired by it. They'll feel your calmness, your strength, your clarity, and it will uplift them. But others may feel triggered because your growth reflects what they haven't yet faced within themselves. And that's okay. Your job isn't to dim your light to make others comfortable. Your job is to stay authentic, grounded, and aligned with your purpose. Not all battles leave visible scars. Some of the hardest fights you faced were internal, fighting your own doubts, your fears, your overthinking, your past. There were days when you looked okay on the outside, but inside you were struggling just to hold it together. And yet, you kept going. That's strength. It's rare. People might not know your full story. They might not see how much you've endured. But God saw every silent tear, every sleepless night, every moment you chose not to give up. Those invisible battles built a level of resilience in you that can't be taught. It can only be earned. And you earned it. Right now, things may still feel uncertain. You might not have all the answers, but deep down, there's a feeling like something is coming, something bigger than what you've experienced before. That feeling isn't imagination, it's intuition. When God prepares you for something greater, He doesn't always reveal the full picture immediately. Instead, He builds your character first, because what's coming will require a stronger version of you. You're being stretched, refined, and positioned. Every lesson you've learned, every challenge you've overcome, it's all adding up to something meaningful. The question is, are you ready to step into it? If you feel like you're being prepared for something bigger, comment, "I'm ready for what's next." Letting go is never easy. Whether it was a person, a dream, or a version of yourself, you felt the weight of that release. And for a while, it may have felt like loss. But sometimes, letting go isn't losing something. It's making space for something better. Holding on to what no longer aligns with you only delays your growth. And deep down, you knew it was time. That inner resistance you felt, That was your soul telling you it's time to move forward. Growth requires release. You can't carry your past into your future and expect things to change. What have you had to let go of recently? Share it in the comments. Your honesty might help someone else find the strength to do the same. For a long time, you may have doubted your own instincts. You second-guessed your decisions. You questioned your worth, but something is shifting now. You're starting to trust yourself again. You're listening to your intuition more. You're setting boundaries. You're choosing peace over chaos. And slowly, you're realizing you were never as lost as you thought. Self-trust is powerful. It changes how you move, how you speak, how you live. And once you rebuild that trust within yourself, nothing external can shake you the same way again. If you're learning to trust yourself again, comment, "I trust myself now." Waiting is one of the hardest things to go through. You prayed, you hoped, you worked, and still, things didn't happen when you expected them to. But delays do mean you were denied. Sometimes timing matters more than effort. You weren't being ignored, you were being prepared. Because if things had happened earlier, you might not have been ready to handle them. Now you're different, stronger, wiser, more aware. And when things finally align, you'll understand why they didn't happen sooner. If you believe in divine timing, right, everything is aligning. Some of what you're going through isn't just about you, it's bigger than that. You're breaking patterns that have existed for years, maybe even generations. Ways of thinking, ways of reacting, cycles that needed to end. And that kind of change isn't easy. It requires awareness, courage, and consistency. But you're doing it. Step by step, you're creating a new path, not just for yourself, but for those who come after you. That's powerful. If you feel like you're breaking old cycles, comment, "It ends with me." Right now, you might feel like you're still far from where you want to be. But what if you're actually closer than you realize? Growth isn't always visible. Progress doesn't always feel obvious. But every step you've taken, no matter how small, has brought you forward. Sometimes the biggest breakthrough happens right after the hardest moment. So don't give up now, not when you've come this far. Take a moment to acknowledge how far you've come. And if this message reached you today, it wasn't by accident. There was a time when you were constantly chasing validation, chasing people, chasing outcomes. You thought if you just tried harder, gave more, proved more, things would finally fall into place. But instead, you felt drained. Now something has shifted. You're no longer chasing the same way. You're starting to understand that what's meant for you doesn't require you to lose yourself to obtain it. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. Not because you've become passive, but because you've become aligned. Your energy changes when you choose self-respect over desperation. And suddenly things begin to flow. Opportunities, clarity, peace, they come naturally without force. That's not luck, that's alignment. If you've reached a point where you're no longer chasing, comment, "I attract what's meant for me." You don't always need to speak loudly to be powerful. Sometimes your presence alone is enough. The way you carry yourself, the calmness in your energy, the clarity in your silence, it speaks before you even say a word. People notice it, even if they don't say it out loud. Your presence is shaped by everything you've been through. The struggles didn't just make you stronger, they made you deeper, and depth creates impact. You don't need to prove your worth anymore. You don't need to compete for attention. What's real doesn't beg to be seen, it naturally stands out. Have you started noticing your own presence differently? Right, "I feel my power." For so long, you may have worn versions of yourself that weren't fully you. Roles you had to play, masks you had to wear, just to fit in, just to be accepted. But not anymore. You're shedding those layers. You're becoming more authentic, more honest, more aligned with who you truly are. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable at times, because authenticity requires courage. But this is where your real power lies. Not in pretending, not in pleasing, but in being. The more you embrace your true identity, the more your life begins to reflect it. Your choices, your relationships, your path, they all start to align with who you really are. If you're stepping into your true self, comment, "This is the real me." One day you're going to look back at everything, the confusion, the pain, the delays, and it will all make sense. Not partially, completely. You'll understand why certain things didn't work out, why certain people left, why certain paths closed, and instead of questioning it, you'll feel grateful for it. Because what's coming into your life will be so aligned, so clear, so right, that it will answer questions you didn't even know how to ask. That's the beauty of divine timing. It doesn't just give you what you want, it gives you what truly fits who you've become. So hold on, stay patient, stay focused, because when it arrives, you'll realize it was all worth it. If you believe something meaningful is coming your way, right, I'm ready to receive. Out of everything you could have been doing today, you ended up here, reading this, feeling this, reflecting on your journey. That's not random, that's confirmation. Confirmation that you're not lost, that you're not behind, that everything you've been going through has a purpose, even if you couldn't see it before. This message wasn't here to change your path. It was here to remind you that you're already on it. So trust yourself, trust your journey, and most importantly, trust that you are exactly where you need to be right now. If this message spoke to your heart, don't ignore that feeling. Like this video, subscribe to Mirror of the Soul, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And before you leave, I want you to reflect and answer this in the comments. What is one sign in your life right now that tells you you're on the right path? What part of this message felt like it was meant specifically for you? Your voice matters here. You are not here by accident. You are not going through this without reason. And you are not becoming who you are by chance. This is your transformation. This is your awakening. This is your moment. This is Mirror of the Soul. And your journey is just beginning.